Here. I saved the bathtub with this guy. Hey.
Hey, state champ.
Two-time.
Hey, I think we have a petition. Everybody cross out the injury.
So cold.
I thought they were doing that for like printing and they were the big line through it.
We are tearing it up.
Don't touch me. You're 18.
You are two idiots. So it's not rope anymore.
I like how we're sitting right in front of the light.
Hey, Dan, I'm putting white out over time. You write the time.
That's so funny.
Okay, 2 times.
You know what, Luke? At least my parents live together.
Dude, that's too soon.
Nope, not too soon. You brought it out in me.
Right, 2 times.
As soon as I can phone your mom.
Can you give this to your brother?
Hey, Jack!
Found your blender bottles. Come get it.
You probably shouldn't leave the live stream right there. I'm not a good look on that.
You should not have let us sit up front. How high are you, Jack?
What?
How high are you? He's so high.
Whoa! Toby! Watch the tag. You're it.
Stop.
Kaylin, like I said before, we're both 18, so it's not right.
It's never right for both.
Exactly. High five. It's like, oh, gotcha. It's like, gotcha. Susanna, really, bro?
You're a Republican, Dane.
Hey!
What?
Dane, you're 18.
You're a Republican.
Hey.
Huh?
I can't be saying it too loud. Hey, get it out of here. The alcohol is trying to bring alcohol to school. Boom.
I just like put it.
Just
Someone's gonna steal it. I will not open it.
Hey, just take hey, Taylor, mine's in the office. Taylor. Make it to...
Hey, no, Tam, you gotta take that out. Like it's
Oh, that's gonna fall. Oh.
No, it's just, what? It's just water.
She's like, don't smell it. She's like, don't smell it. He said, ah. Just, I see it says, hello everyone, just like,
Hey, you need to spread out.
Tyler, we don't like you.
Okay, guys, let's come in and get seated. We'll get started. Thank you for coming out, and we'll be able to do our assembly today for our winter activities. It's pretty amazing that we got through it all with all the different things that we did this year for restrictions. At the beginning of the year, we had no spectators, and they were allowed to have a couple spectators and then a few more. And so everybody did a great job, students and parents and players, and did all the things that we were supposed to do. And apparently it worked because we were one of the only schools that never went remote and never lost any of our games because we were quarantined. So good job to all of you in that respect.
Oh yeah! We love you.
So we will try to get all of this done. We've got a lot to cover today. We're going to start out with wrestling, and then we will recognize our AV club. And then after AV club, we're going to do dance, then cheer, then girls basketball, and then finish up with boys basketball. So let's welcome Coach Bingham to the stage.
Hello, I'm Coach Bingham, like Mr. Heward said. I'm going to start out with a couple of thank yous. I need to thank Mr. Heward and the rest of the administration for all the support and help. I'd like to thank the school board for continuing a successful co-op program. Thank the parents for all the support they give to the kids and the program. Parents like the Smiths, the Collins, the Whalens, anything we need, they take care of. The Collins, anytime we need anything, all we have to do is ask. Dane's parents have been providing breakfast for the last 4 years to every tournament, so all that's appreciated. And lastly, I'd like to thank the wrestlers themselves. They come over to practice every day. Wrestling tournaments start pretty darn early. We've had to travel quite a ways this year. We've been to Clay Center, been to Salina. I believe that's about 3:30 or 4 in the morning wake-ups for these guys. Some of them don't get to eat on Friday nights either, except for Dane. Yeah, so that takes some discipline. These guys, they really work hard. Now I'd like to bring all the wrestlers up on stage, please.
What's up, Dane?
All right, I've really enjoyed coaching these guys. I go in front of the school board at Burlingame and they ask me how things are going, and I always have something good to report from the Osage boys. They're good kids, they're coachable. Sometimes they're a little difficult on the bus, but other than that, it's a pleasure to have them. My requirements for lettering: you have to win 5 matches, at least 5. That doesn't sound like very many, but believe me, that can be. So 5 wins or coach's discretion. So we will start out with our freshmen. Okay, Hayden Cerna. He started out late. He was wrestling with a cow or something, hurt his knee, didn't start till well after Christmas. He filled in nicely when Eli King got hurt. He stepped right up into the varsity role, won some big matches for us, won some big matches at the duel against Burlington and Fredonia. So Avon gets a letter.
Yes, sir,
Next is Josiah Smith, first-year freshman wrestler. Just like his older brother, he came in as a freshman, and he was tough as nails. He wrestled hard, worked hard, very coachable. Thank you, Joseph. Next is our sophomores. We have Caleb Skeeter Curley.
Caleb Skeeter.
I was under quarantine for the first 3 weeks of practice, so when I got there, I just thought his name was Skeeter. But when I went to fill out forms, I had to put his real name, and I had to ask somebody, what is his name? It's not Skeeter. So Caleb, and curly is good for his hair. Caleb gets a provisional letter. Provisional letter means if he letters next year, then this year counts as a letter. Now, he wrestled JV, and because of COVID, all of the JV tournaments got canceled, and he didn't have much of an opportunity to wrestle. So, provisional letter for him. Tomas's first year, he actually had to lose weight to get to 285, which he did make at the end of the year, which was a victory in itself. I'm expecting Tomas to step right into the heavyweight role next year and be successful. He had to work against a two-time state champion this year, once in a while. That sounds like a bad thing, but it's really a good thing. Steel sharpens steel. So Tomas also gets a provisional letter.
Heck yeah, Tomas! Sir.
Connor Collins. Connor is a two-time state medalist, and he is the quickest wrestler I have ever coached. Right off that whistle, he just gets after it. Now, he can go down in program history as the first four-time state medalist if he keeps up that progress. So, Connor Collins. Juniors. We'll start out with Crouchy. Garrett Croucher. Now, he ended the year with 4 wins, but Garrett's one of the reasons I put in a coach's discretion. Garrett worked hard. He worked hard in practice. He went out and battled every match. And actually, his last tournament district, he won 2 matches to move on. So, very proud of him. I can't wait to see his progress next year. So, Garrett Croucher. Garrett Patrick. Garrett Patrick, he's probably the honoriest kid on the team. They're all wrestlers, so they're all ornery. Garrett came out, he worked hard. He actually was a kid wrestler in Burlingame years and years and years ago, so I knew he was a scrapper, along with his brother. He ended the year with the injury bug, so next year I can't wait to see if he's injury-free, how his season goes. And, by the end of the year, it's just like football. If you're not hurt a little bit, you're not working hard enough. You're Patrick. Last but not least, Mickey. Mickey Wilkin. I misspelled his name for 2 years. Not sure how to describe Mickey. He's one of those kids that he's in the room with you. Good thing or bad thing, he's in the room with you. Now Mickey was on JV most of the year, but he didn't let that get him down. He worked hard. When Noah went down, he took over the varsity spot, and he came on strong at the end of the year. You guys wouldn't believe it. He, in a no-COVID year, would have made it to state. He made it to sub-district, which is the equivalent of state in a regular year. So, can't say enough about him. I'm glad he's back next year. Mickey. we won't mention that.
Dane, over your nose.
Okay, ready for our seniors? Have 4 seniors. Noah's not here. These guys have all been wrestling in the program for 4 years. Now, you get to know people pretty well in 4 years. These guys, they made a huge impact on the program. They're going to be missed greatly. So every coach says that about their seniors. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it isn't. It is definitely true with these guys. I'm going to miss them so much. They're fun to be around. They've made a big impact on me. I can't say enough about them. We're going to start with Trev.
Yeah, Trevor!
Okay, we call Trev Little Trev. At one time we had 2 Trevors on the team. And Trevor, he was a skinny little thing. You know, when I see a junior high kid in the hall, a skinny little junior high kid, and I'm trying to recruit him for wrestling, I'll say, you know, 4 years of high school wrestling, you're gonna be walking around with muscles, you're gonna have confidence, you're gonna be looking like a beast. And Trevor, he's a perfect example. That just isn't always the case. Trevor has a great sense of humor, that's why I can give him some trouble. But anyway, on a serious note, Trevor competed for 4 years. Some of those years he was cutting a lot of weight, and I mean a lot of weight. And not one time did he not make weight, which happens. Okay? When you don't make weight, you don't get to wrestle, and you don't get to score points for the team. So that is an example of his discipline. And I really appreciate Trevor and all the hard work he's done.
I got Trevor!
Okay, Noah's not here, so I'm not going to talk about Noah too much, other than started out as a freshman. By his junior year, he made it to state. This year, we expected him to be on the podium, and then he got injured. So Elijah's the next senior. Elijah's that quiet kid that just gets the job done. He does what it takes. He's a real hard-nosed kid. He made steady progress in the program. His freshman year, he had a good year. Learned what high school wrestling's about. Sophomore year, he qualified for state. Junior year, he went back to state and made the blood round, which is 1 match away from medaling, and he was really, really sick. And this year, he brought home a medal. Highlight for Elijah, when I look back, is the duel we had against Burlington. Now, Burlington's a pretty good wrestling program, and we dueled them, and it went back and forth. We'd win one, we'd lose another one, we'd win the next one. Elijah happened to be the very last wrestler, and it came down to a tie score. Elijah was wrestling state-ranked kid in 4A, a kid that brought home a medal this year, and guess which team won?
Elijah.
Well, yes, Elijah won, which allowed the team to win. So that was definitely an exciting match. He ended his career with 108 wins. Now, winning 100 matches is a milestone in wrestling. You have to average 25 wins, which sometimes is hard as a freshman. He ended with 69 pins, and he's a 2-year team captain.
Elijah, that's a perfect number.
Watch. I should have bumped that up to 70. Okay, Big Dane Whalen. You know how I said Elijah's that quiet kid? That's not Dane. I think you guys all know that. Now Dane, he's a leader by example. He's a 3-year outspoken team captain. If somebody's not working very hard, not doing what he needs to be doing, he's gonna let them know. If somebody's doing something right, he lets them know that too. He's a role model. I've had basketball kids in junior high talk about Dane Whalen in my class. I mean, he is known. I use him as an example, as his approach to matches. And I told my kids when I'm talking any sport, not overlooking your opponent, I said, you can look at Dane Whalen, who's a state champion, and you can't tell by the way he's warming up, by the way he's getting ready to wrestle, whether he's wrestling another state champion or somebody that hasn't won a single match. He approaches the match the same way. He is in his zone. Okay, he finishes his career with 133 wins. That's first in program history. 107 falls, first in program history. 4-time state qualifier, 3-time state medalist, 2-time state champ, undefeated senior year. Okay, now that's all I have, so thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for wrestling.
55 out! 55 out!
Dane, you have to do it. Dane, 55 out. Come on.
Hey, Dane, get off the stage.
Dane, your time's up.
All right, can I get the AV Club to come on up? So while they're coming up, kind of want to tell a story about how this came to be. Historically, right, we've never had an AV Club. And pandemic, new times, new needs arise. And when it became apparent that a lot of parents weren't going to be able to come, a lot of family members weren't going to be able to come to events, our school had some decisions to make. In the winter sports, or the fall sports, a lot of them were outdoors, and we didn't necessarily have to worry about it as much. I had a volunteer, Dalton, kind of went to as many things as he could. But as we were making this happen, and we knew basketball was coming, we were going to be indoors, we knew we were going to need to do a little bit more. And Dalton badgered me. Come on, let's start an AV club. Let's start an AV club. Come on, let's start an AV club. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, what can we do with this club? And we started a meeting. We all brainstormed, what would this look like? And the basketball productions, the OCHS Productions, what we branded ourselves, kind of came to be. We needed some resources, so thanks to the admin for providing that. And then we got the stuff. We got it on hand. Right before season was to start, they didn't even have a chance to play with it. And then I get in quarantine for what basically equated to a month. Thankfully, Dustin stepped in and was able to get them going. But literally, I gave them a box of stuff and said, good luck. I knew I had cameras, the NFHS cameras in the background, but literally I gave them a box and said, I hope you can figure this out. And I could not believe it. That first game, that first match, they had, the announcers, Leo and Ellie, had one practice round in Mr. Stuckey's room a week before and literally had no other practice outside of that. And I mean, I was watching it from home and I could not believe the quality of product that these 5 individuals were able to do. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. You got these 2, I mean, I frequently refer to them as my on-screen talent, right? They're my talent, and these guys are my grunts, they're my workers. And these guys had the iPad that Logan's holding right now, and just switching camera angles. We had frequently me or one of the others walking around with a second camera, and I mean, it came together. I couldn't believe it, and that is a major compliment to these 5 kids, because I mean, seriously, I normally am kind of the one that helps get it going on the right path, and I couldn't be there. Dustin did a great job. Not taking anything away from him, but without them, it wouldn't have happened. So I wanted, actually, the administration asked me to pull them up and to give them the recognition, because I can't go to the community, out in the community anytime without somebody coming up and thanking me. So in return, thank you for the service that they provided. And I can tell you guys, you basketball players, the varsity basketball players out there, your numbers were dramatically higher. You had way more people watching your events than any other school that I watch. I watch the numbers, I'm a geek, I watch streaming numbers, considerably higher numbers, and it was due to their work. The video quality wasn't the best, that's on me. I didn't want to ask for another $1,000. That's what it comes down to. But their work was great. So congratulations, guys, good job, we appreciate it. The school appreciates it, the community appreciates it, and hopefully you guys appreciate it. Unfortunately, they don't get letters, but we do have certificates for you guys. We'll give them to you. And we do have one more project in the works. I don't want to leak it too much because we haven't brainstormed it completely. But hopefully, before long, you'll be hearing. And we're going to need a lot of help from you guys on our next project. Some volunteers. So on to, I think, Kathy Camarina and dance, if I remember right. Thanks, guys.
Okay. All right. Well, before I get started talking about the dance team, I have a few people I need to thank. Alan Carlson always makes sure, well, we tried to get the music right. We had a few hiccups during football, but he's very helpful in helping with the music. Andy Lovmeyer helps with that as well. Mr. Heward, just for listening to me and giving me some direction when I need it. And then a big thank you to Mrs. Harmon. I don't know if she's in here because she has junior high right now, but she was an invaluable resource for me taking over the dance team and was always there to answer questions and help out with tryouts and all that stuff. So I appreciate her as well. Okay, so the dance team performed 17 times this year at games. And over the last 3 years, the average was 11 performances. So I guess shout out to the football team for winning a whole bunch of games so we could perform a lot extra. But it also made the season really hectic at times, and sometimes we would perform twice a week and have very little turnover between performances and stuff like that. So I appreciate the girls' hard work and just being flexible with COVID and performing at home games that we didn't even know were going to be home games, and they did a great job all season. We had 6 new dancers and 5 returning dancers this year, so they had a lot to keep up with, and to the credit of the freshmen and Blanca, I feel like they really rose to the level of the other dancers and learned the routines and worked hard, and to the credit of my returners, they were very encouraging. And they also pushed the new girls to get better and do a good job, and it was a great season. I'm just really proud of them. So We had a lot of good performances. The Halloween one's always fun, or like when we worked on a dance that was really hard, Kirsten was kind of notorious for choreographing really difficult and long dances. That took us a long time to learn, so that was always exciting. But my personal favorite performance, I think, is a good example of what kind of girls I got to work with this year. So in the fall, my dad was in the nursing home, and so he wasn't able to watch Emery dance at all. So I asked the girls if we could go to, don't cry, oh, I was like, it's up to red, and then I'm gonna cry. Okay, they've seen me cry before, it's fine. So I wanted my dad to be able to see Emery and the girls dance, because he always liked to come to the games, basketball and football games and stuff. So I asked the girls if they would go to the nursing home and perform. It was kind of an awkward setup, because it was like during, COVID, so the residents couldn't come out and we couldn't come in. So they just pushed all the residents up to the window, and then we stood out in the courtyard, and they put a speaker outside and a speaker inside, and they just danced out in the courtyard for the residents. So that meant a lot to me, and I think it made the residents' day too. So I appreciate working with these girls. They were a lot of fun. We had a good season. So our first time letter winners are freshman Kate Burr. Freshman Emery Camarina. Freshman Emily Mullen. And then these two freshmen had already lettered in other sports, but they also have now lettered in dance, and that's freshman Callie Lane and Riley Pettigene. Other returners that are lettering again, sophomore Greta Crawford. Junior Kaylin Burke. Junior Dally Sen. And then earning her first letter, senior Blanca Alto. And then we had two co-captains this year. They were both great support for me and the other dancers and the new girls. I really enjoyed working with them. They were kind of opposites in some ways, and I think that worked out to be a really good balance. So thank you to Lauren Phillips. And then here's tonight, I think maybe is doing some Air Force stuff today, so she's not here. She's our other senior contestant. All right, that's it. Thank you guys.
Cheer is up next, and Mrs. Tice isn't here, and so I get to replace her, which is impossible to do. She did a great job this year, getting the girls prepared for games, and with COVID and everything that went on this year, the cheerleaders really had a tough time, or tough task. There was games that they were cheering, and there was nobody in the stands, but yet they were cheering. Cheerleaders, yeah, come on in. And then we able to expand that and get a few more people there, and they actually had people that they got to cheer to and get some a little spirit in the room. And then as we entered into the backside of the season, and we got a few more people there, they weren't always able to go to all the games. There were some Tuesday nights we were on the road, late nights, and with all the COVID stuff was going on. So there was a lot of games they didn't get to go to, and they were sure missed at those ball games because you just missed that level of spirit inside the gym and cheering when the good plays and free throws and all that good stuff. So hats off to the kids. They did a great job, and I really appreciate all that they do and what they offer to a ball game and all the way through football and basketball. So give them a nice round of applause, please. marked here for juniors and seniors, and so I don't know what all the classes they are, but here's the letters. Everybody lettered this year. Jara Butterfield, she gets a bar. Elisa Courtney, bar. Sarah Davis, a bar. Jenna Hassard. Ashley McCoy. Olivia Phillips. Landon Reeves gets a letter, a bar, and a pen. Madison Schubert, a bar. And Gracie Smith, a bar and a pen. Would one of you cheerleaders want to add or say anything special today?
Speak, Sarah.
Sarah, speak.
Sarah, speak. Sarah, you're the captain. Gina. Sarah. Yeah.
Jenna and I were the captains this year, and I can't say enough about this group. It was really fun, and learning everything with them.
Just like Sarah said, a lot of you folks know that cheer is like my life. I love cheer. I love being loud. You all can probably hear me along the hallway, so this
That's a
was
fact.
really
Especially
great.
in math.
Do
Do a flip. Do a flip. Gina, do a flip.
So I feel like this really meant a lot to me because I wanted to use my voice and be able to help you all through spirit, encouragement, and I love the girls. And Landon, that was awesome. I enjoyed every second of it. And I'm really going to miss you guys a lot. I love you.
Gina, do a flip.
Thank you, guys. Girls basketball, come on up.
Gina, do a flip. Gina. Gina, you shouldn't have said anything. You just should have done it.
First off, I want to say how thankful I am that we did get our season. I know before it all started with the COVID, there was talk that there may not be a season, even come down to votes and stuff. And so I feel like we're very fortunate to get our season in. You know, it's kind of one of those crazy years where we started with no fans, which is completely different than anything we've ever done before. And we had some parents showed up, and then we could get more fans. So it was just kind of crazy all together. You know, games being canceled, having to be made up, all of that kind of stuff. So again, we're just very fortunate we got it here. So I always want to start out with my thanks because it takes a ton of people in order to make the basketball season a successful season. So start off with Mr. Heward and administration. You know, this is a tough year. Like I said, you're constantly having to switch things around. You know, just so much work in there, and I appreciate all your work that you did for that. Jen in the office, if you ever have any questions, she's making the forms for us, certificates for today. You know, she does a great job, always has a positive attitude. Alan, knowing that the facilities are ready to go, and you don't have to worry about that, that's a big relief. I'd like to thank all the bus drivers, Sandy, I think Dee, Alan, I think we're the main ones we had this year. Appreciate them driving and giving us safe trips. I'd like to thank Mr. Nicholas and the band. They did a great job. Always when you come out and get the warm-ups going and the band gets going, it just gives you an extra, you know, get you a little pumped up and ready to go. So thank you for that. Mrs. Camarina and the dance team. Also Mrs. Camarina, because we had some girls that did dance and play basketball, so she's very easy to work with. So appreciate that. Mrs. Tice and the cheerleaders. You know, like I said earlier, it's kind of crazy you didn't have fans, but then you did, and we just appreciate them for all that they did. Yeah. Andy and Kylie all throughout the year with the different film. This year with the NFHS, that was different for me. So they helped me out quite a bit on that and a lot of things. The AV Club and the sponsors for that, that was a great addition. Like I said, there were so many people that would call in about being able to watch the games, and they just really appreciated it, and I thought they did an awesome job. I'd like to thank Mrs. Crawford. She did the scorebook for us when we were on the road. Dalton Rush did filming for us early, and then he kind of got a job, so we had to have some managers take over, but he's done that for us for many years and does a great job, so thank you for the games that he did. Booster Club, they give us some meals before the games. I'd really like to thank the parents, you know, for their support of their daughters throughout the years, and for the support of the team. You know, another person is my wife, Jessie. You know, during basketball season, it's pretty hectic. There's a lot of time involved, and she kind of, you know, she usually carries the load anyway, but she has to carry it more, you know, once basketball's going. So really appreciate her for that. She even helped out with the clock this year when we needed to do that. You know, and then she's always having to hear me talk about basketball, which I know drives her nuts, but she never complains too much about it. So another group that I'd like to thank is our managers, Kenya and Lindsay were our managers. They did a great job, very reliable. I thought they did an excellent job there. Allie kind of turned into a manager because she was injured and really didn't get a chance to play, so she come in and filled in and done an awesome job with that also. Brody, he's back there. You're supposed to come up here, Brody.
Come on, Brody.
Come on, Brody.
Come on, Brody.
He's nervous about coming up, but he was kind of our manager slash assistant coach. So appreciate all the help that he gave us this year. You know, then I want to thank Coach Boss and Coach Keith. I know I couldn't ask for better assistants. I mean, they're just great role models for the girls. They sacrifice a lot of time for these girls. They both have young families, and I know it takes a lot of time during basketball, and I appreciate all the sacrifice that they give. You know, and then the last one is just the girls. I appreciate all their hard work. Basketball's a long season. It takes a lot of commitment, you know, a lot of determination to play on and off the court, you know, all the extra time that they put in to make it a successful season. Another thing I want to talk about them is like probably definitely the smartest team that I've ever had. I mean, I think we did their GPA halfway through, and it was like 3.8 something, 8.5 or something as a team. So overall, I thought their GPA was just phenomenal. So it was a great source of and I think that's it. If I missed anybody, I really apologize. Didn't mean to. Okay, so talk a little bit about the team. So we had 20 girls involved as part of the Lady Indian basketball team this year. You know, we really enjoyed the group of girls we had. We appreciate their willingness to come to practice with a good attitude and good work ethic. The varsity record this year was 17-4. The JV record was 13-3, and then the C team was 4-6. A little bit about the C team. Had some girls on there that was kind of on the fence whether they wanted to play at the beginning. They decided to play, and we're very thankful that they did. And I thought they showed improvement throughout the year, and hopefully they'll come back and play next year. JV, they, like I said, they finished 13-3. They took second place in the Ottawa tournament, and then they took second place in the JV tournament over at Linden. So they did a great job this year, and I'm looking forward to a lot of them for next year. As far as the varsity accomplishments go, they were the regular season league champs. In the tournament, they placed second, and then they earned the 1 seed for the sub-state. I'm proud of all the girls and our team this year. You know, like I said earlier with the COVID and everything that went with it, you know, being high school girls, kids, and being able to handle the adversity the way they did, just, you know, the anxiety of whether we're going to play, if they're going to be quarantined, all that stuff. I thought they did an excellent job of handling it, and I'm proud of all of them for the way they did handle that. So we'll get through the certificates now. Still here, Coach Boss. We'll start with our managers. Okay, first off here, I got, again, Dalton Rush for filming. I have a certificate for you, Dalton. Okay. Next manager is Kenya. I'm not going to even try the last name. I always mess that thing up. So we're just going with Kenya for her manager. Thank you, Kenya. Lindsay Davenport, manager, did all your work, Lindsay. And then we have Brody. We got a certificate. Okay, so these are our freshmen now. I'll read through these. So we got Allie Sage, who earned a participation. We got Emily Mullins with a participation. Paige Burt, participation. Emery Camarina, participation. Callie Lane, participation. Riley Pettigrew, participation. Georgia Kisselman earned a letter. And Campbell Stark earned a letter. You know, we got the freshman group a little bit on them. I really enjoyed that group. It's a nice group of girls. I hope they all stick with basketball. I think there's a lot of potential with that group. You know, we need to just make sure with them, you know, we have a good summer, we keep continuing to work and keep getting better. But it is a great freshman group overall. So we're looking forward to them as they move on to be sophomores. So now we'll go with our sophomores, the two of them. Kate McGantine earned a letter. And Greta Crawford earned a letter. A little bit about our sophomores. They both got to suit up for varsity, and they both got some court time throughout the year. You know, it's going to really need them to have a good year next year. Graduating all the seniors we really need them to have a good year next year. You know, they're hard workers. I know they will. Last summer, I don't think either one of them missed a day of summer workouts the whole time. They had a great summer, and it showed, so hopefully they continue that and keep progressing and be a big part of our team next year. So now we'll go with the juniors. We got Liz Duvall with a letter. And Hannah Jones with a letter. Okay, those were our two juniors. You know, both of these juniors were a huge part of our success this year. They brought a speed to our team that we were pretty much lacking with our seniors. No offense, seniors, but they brought the speed to it, and they brought a defensive toughness. You know, they were the ones that really got after it as far as defense goes. They had great summers last year. I think they're about the same way, perfect attendance last year, and we're going to need them to have another big summer as they're going into their senior year. You know, they both will be looked upon for their defense again next year, but their roles will change, and offensively we'll really need them to add to the mix. So that was our juniors for this year. And now we'll go to our seniors. So these seniors, we had 6 seniors out this year. I think their first year in high school, I think we won 4 games. And then they ended up winning 17 as seniors, so they had a lot of progression throughout the years. You know, this group means a lot to me. Had the opportunity to watch them grow as basketball players and also as young ladies. It's been very special to me to watch their growth throughout the years. So I was thinking back over this and a few of the memories over the years with them since they were little. I mean, way back into 3rd grade, you know, that had me thinking it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to read a few of those. They'll know what I'm talking about. You guys probably won't have a clue what I'm talking about, but I wanted to read these. So just thinking through some of this is, you know, one of the first ones I remember is when we played a Burlingame in 3rd grade at the tournament. I think they beat us early. You guys know what I'm talking about. They beat us early a time or two, and then we ended up beating them, and their fans were just crazy, and I thought there was going to be a brawl at a 3rd grade game. So that was a fun memory back then. Also, after their 7th grade year, we had an Osage group. These girls that went and played MAYB. So most of you that have played MAYB know how rough it is. We're not the biggest of groups, so we went in and we won a few games. We didn't win a lot, but you know, they took a lot of beatings, but it's one of those things that really paid off for them because as 8th graders they went undefeated, and then they won the league as 8th graders. So that was another memory. Won state last year as juniors, and then, you know, being the league champs this year as seniors. So these are all great memories. There's a lot more, but we'll just stop there. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about each senior. And these are our seniors. So Mackenzie McKinney earned a letter. You know, Mackenzie is a great kid. I mean, she is a great kid. She's a tough kid. There was one day in practice this year, I think we were running a line sprint. She turned and planted it, and her old kneecap went over the side. And first she didn't know it. She looked down, saw that kneecap, and thought her leg was broke and started screaming, and we tried to get everybody back, but it went right back in. So it was one of those quick things that was more scary than anything. There was going to be a JV tournament the next day, and she was thinking she was going to go play in that JV tournament, which there was no way that she was going to do it, but she did still go the next day on crutches and everything like that. So she's super tough, you know. She filled in some for us during the C team games, and the leadership she took. Coach Keith was working with the C team girls most of the time, and she'd always compliment how the leadership that Kendi had down there. So I really appreciate that, and she earned a letter for this year. Next senior is Jenna Hasker.
Jenna!
You know, Jenna, you all know Jenna, she's another great kid. One thing that I'll admire from Jenna is she's always got a positive attitude. It doesn't matter, you know, I don't think Jenna's ever had a bad day in her life. It doesn't matter what's going on, she's always just positive. You know, she's probably the most positive person I've ever met. She's another one that showed a ton of leadership this year. She filled in place some JV quarters for us and stuff, and she showed some leadership there that I really appreciate, and she'll do things. So good job, Jenna. So the next one will go with Sarah Davis. She earned a letter.
Sarah!
Sarah lettered all 4 years of high school. You know, Sarah's always been one of my favorites. She has a great personality. She's always easy to talk to, joking around quite a bit. She's pretty laid back. You know, offensively, she's never been a big threat to us, but you all know we can't just have all scorers in basketball. It takes a team. So she's one of those that brought the hustle, brought the defense, brought the versatility. I think last year we had to go down and play some post. So she had to learn that position, and she did a good job of that. So it made our team better. She's one of those that just makes your team better. So I appreciate everything Sarah's done over her years. Good job, Sarah. Next one we got is Danny Curtis. All right, Danny. And she earned a letter. Good, Danny. A little bit about Danny. She's probably the biggest 180 that I've seen as a coach in a high school career. You know, we got a good relationship going on, so I can probably say this. You know, as a freshman and before, she was always kind of that soft, whiny kid that just would drive you bananas, but you saw a ton of potential in her. You know, but she was that at an early age, but like these last 2 years, she really turned it on, and she was a butt kicker. I mean, she was super, super tough for us and a huge part of our team this year, offensively and defensively. She really stepped up, and she was, you know. One thing that I'll always remember about Danny is how determined she was. She was determined to become a good basketball player, put in the work. I mean, over the summer, just health-wise, just really put in a ton of work. And it paid off. So there's no secret to success. It's hard work, and she's a prime example of that. So great job, Danny. Another thing about Danny is she earned all Flint Hills honorable mention, which I didn't get a vote, but I think she was way higher than that. That's how it turned out. But she was a great, great player for us. So we'll go with the next one, Hayden Cerna. You know, Hayden. You know, Hayden is a heck of a basketball player. Probably the best passer that I've seen and been around. You know, her vision of the floor was phenomenal. There'd be some passes during the games that Coach Boss, Coach Keith, we'd sit there and we'd just be like, wow, you know, those are great passes. You just see it. You wouldn't think it was going to happen, and she just makes some phenomenal passes. So, I mean, she's great at that. You know, she could score a little bit, too. She scored over 1,000 points in her career, so she's a pretty good scorer also. Plus, she's been a starter since her freshman year, so she's been a 4-year starter. Some of the honors she's earned over the years is Hayden's been All-League all 4 years. She was first team All-League as a sophomore through senior year. This year, she was a unanimous All-League pick. And then All-State honorable mention as a sophomore junior. I haven't seen nothing as a senior, so I would assume she'll be at least that this year. So Hayden's had a great career, and I appreciate all the hard work she's put in. Good job, Hayden. last senior, go with Taylor Kirkpatrick. She earned a letter.
Hey, Taylor.
Okay, so, I would describe Taylor as being, as a tough kid. I mean, she was one of those that, as a freshman, we didn't have a lot of size. She's not real big herself. She's always had to kind of play the post for us. This last year or two, we've been able to work her out at some guard, but she's always been one of those that's had to play the post. Usually undersized, and just had to use her foot speed and her strength and those type of things to be the player that she was. She was one of those that would play wherever we needed her to play. She'd get in there and she never did complain about it. She's been a really good player for us. It's been a pleasure of mine to get to coach her. Being her dad and all made it that much more special. She's one of those down low. She could score against the big girls, and then she's one of those that could step out and shoot the three or shoot from the high post area and spread the defense out. So she made it made a tough matchup for a lot of people that played against her. I personally know how much time she's put in over the years, and I feel like she's earned everything that she's got. So I just want to let her know I'm proud of all her hard work. So she lettered, and she was a 4-year starter also. A few honors she's had is she's been All-League all 4 years. Her sophomore through senior year, she's first team All-League. This year she was unanimous All-League. Her and Hayden were the only two in the league that got unanimous, so that was a good honor there. And also All-State honorable mention her sophomore junior year, and we'll wait and see what happens this year. So that's basically it. We're going to be losing a lot with these seniors, definitely. So all their success just didn't happen. I've seen them come through. They put in a ton of work. Everything they've won, they've earned. And it's kind of one of those things. Hard work and wins kind of go together. They don't really. You got to have one to have the other. So they've done it. They've earned all the wins that they've got, and I appreciate it. Next year's group got some big shoes to fill, but I have no doubt they can. Like I said, our JV was 13-3. I was without Liz, so we'll be throwing Liz in the mix next year with that. And I think there's a lot of potential right there. So if they work hard this summer and keep improving their game and their skills, I think that we got a chance to have another good year next year. So that's pretty much it. To wrap it up, I think now Coach Fort will turn it over to you guys and the boys basketball.
Yeah, girls.
Okay, almost seems like a miracle that we're up here doing this, and we actually got a basketball season in. If you remember, clear back before the season even started, the way it all went down was we started practicing, and we really didn't know what to expect because the Kansas State High School Athletic Association was going to go to a vote on whether or not to have a shortened season. If you remember, we were going to start, I think our first games were going to be January 15th. We got lucky, common sense overruled it, and we were able to start off and basically get in a full basketball season. We were real fortunate that we only missed 2 games because of COVID. We weren't able to play West Franklin, and we missed the quarterfinal game of the league tournament, which would have been Council Grove. So just a blessing that we were able to get everything and all of this in. I want to send out a special thank you to Mr. Heward, Jen, Lisa, Mr. Hutton. I don't think people realize how hard the administrators' jobs have been because of COVID. I happen to be married to an administrator And I know all of the hassle and all the work. And this all started a year ago when this COVID hit, and we had to, as students, you're turned loose. As teachers, we went remote. But I know from experience that the administrators have worked their tails off hour after hour. By the time you get a plan figured out what you're going to do, all the rules would change. You have to come up with a new plan, and it just kept going on and on and on. And the basketball season was very similar. We had to do the pass list. We never had to do a pass list. A game gets canceled, you have to reschedule it. You have to get new officials. You have to get this and that and everything else. And it's just been a pain. And it's just a blessing that we got a season in. And I want to personally thank you, Mr. Eward, for all the hard work that you did. Beyond that, I would thank all the people that Chris thanked, the bus drivers, the custodians, cheer, dance, the parents, everybody else. Like he said, you can't have a basketball season without everybody that's involved. I want to thank my assistant coaches, Mr. Bellinger. Is this 20 years now? This was our 20th year together as coaching together. And to be flat honest with you, you don't see that anymore in high school basketball. You don't see a basketball coach stick at a high school for 27 years like I have. You don't have an assistant coach that sticks it out with you for 20 years. You just don't see that. Coaches come and go. People find out it's not as easy a profession as you think it is. And in the last 5, 10 years, they might move to another school, decide they don't want to do it anymore, so on and so forth. So I'm very lucky to have my assistant coaches. I want to especially send out a thank you to Mr. Tice. He's not here today. He had a new baby, Jet. Him and Elizabeth are up at a doctor's appointment for the baby. But I want to especially thank him because what we did this year with basketball is we went in 2 separate pods. I took the varsity and the JV, which was 14 of them. I'm guessing it's the 14 right here. And then from Che on over, all those were Coach Tice's kids. We kept them completely separated. And it's a good thing we did because our C-teamers, or Coach Tice's group, they went on quarantine for 2 weeks. It might have been more. And if we would have all been together, and I would have had all these together in the gyms and doing all that, our varsity would have lost several games. So we were very fortunate to kind of see ahead of time that that's what needed to be done. So it was a different season in that aspect. Normally, I work with the freshman group. Some, I know who they are, I know what they can do. Be flat honest with you, freshmen. I don't know which ones of you can play basketball and which ones of you can't. I watched some of your games, but I wasn't around you. And unfortunately, that was part of the bad thing about this season. I wasn't able to see our younger kids as much as I have in the past. Okay? Our JV and our varsity, the kids standing behind us, it's these 14 kids. They absolutely worked their tails off. And there were some things that with this season that was so strange is I don't know how many kids behind me were hurt at various times. So real quick, how many of you missed more than one game because you were injured? Raise your hand, please. We had Hayden, Jace, Shay, Reed, weren't you injured at the beginning of the year? You didn't miss a game. Reed missed the beginning part of practice. This group bought into that and probably did it as well as any group of kids I've ever had. And that just shows the character of the kids that we have. And I couldn't tell you how proud I was of these kids and how much fun they were to work with. When we were done with our season, one of the things I said to them is, I always get this question. I always get it. I don't get it a lot in Osage City, but I get it from other schools, other towns. And they'll ask me, well, are you done coaching now because Gunner's graduated? And my answer to that is no. I was a coach way before I had a kid play for me. I love coaching. I enjoy it. It's something fun that I do. And I will continue to coach as long as I have character kids like that I have right now. I've got character kids that are coming back next season. And I'm so excited about next season because I think next year's team can be very, very, very special. I think they can be very good if they work hard, as hard as they work during the regular season for the rest of the summer. Let's go through and I'll show you the kids that played for us this year. We will start with Coach Tyson's group. Okay, we have Evan Whiteshield, Chase Williams, Lucas Sutton, Bowen Rummel, Zane Order, Calvin Noonan, Noah Longmire, Wyatt Cook, Xavier Carnes, Carlos Gasso Vargas, hope I said that right, Colby Hokinson, Brian Davies, Jay Hales, and Cooper Stokes. So that was Coach Tyson's group. And then for the varsity and JV, it gets to practice with myself and Coach Bellinger. We have Riley Patterson, participation. Brecken Bowen, Cooper Parsons, Dalton Schaefer, Tanner Schaefer, Colby Vogler, okay, following all letter, Tyler Sage, I think this is his second year to letter. Jason Moon, Jace Brenner, Landon Boss. Landon was also unanimous first team all-league this year. I'm sure he's going to be some all-state type teams. Those will probably be coming out, if I had to guess, this following weekend. So, you know, he had a very, very solid season this year. He had a solid season last year, and the good thing about him, he's just a sophomore. We're going to have him for a couple more years. And we had Hayden Kirkpatrick, or Hayden Kirkpatrick. And then I'll do kind of what Coach Kirkpatrick did. I'll talk about our seniors. We had 3 seniors. First of all, we had Reed Crawford. The thing I would say about Reed, he is probably one of the hardest working kids that I've coached in basketball. You know, and I can probably say this kind of like Coach said about Danny is, you know, he fundamentally and stuff with basketball, he's probably not the best basketball player I've ever coached, but as far as hustle and determination and just toughness, you know, you look at Reed and he's not that big of a kid, but he's like all heart. He's just really, really, really tough and just plays with a passion that if other kids could play that hard, you'd be amazed what some other kids could accomplish. Okay, then we have Shane Orner. You know, the thing about Shane is Shane has had an injury-riddled high school basketball career. He was hurt last year with his shoulder. He tore his labrum, I think, between his sophomore and junior year in the summer. Gutted through last year's high school season. His knee's hurt. He was supposed to have surgery in the spring at some point in time. Then, of course, with COVID, all that gets pushed back. He ends up getting the surgery, not just on his shoulder, but also on his knee. And to make it worse, it's his shooting shoulder. He ends up having surgery, fights to get back, tries to recover, guts through the beginning part of the season. The knee that he didn't have surgery on is just killing him. You know, you got to admire a kid that's just tough. If you've ever tried to play a sport that's hurt as bad as he was, you have to appreciate how tough he really is. And, you know, it's unfortunate that his season had to go the way it did. And it wasn't just this season, it was last year. He gutted through all that pain and play. You know, I was very, very, very disappointed that Shane was not at least an honorable mention all-league nominator or got the votes for that, because he deserved it. And I don't think the other coaches appreciated as much hard work as he put into it to get to where he is. And then Gunner, our last senior. You know, Gunner did everything for us. He brought the ball up for us in transition. He's had to score for us some. We always put him on the other team's better player, and I thought he did a really, really good job with that. And, you know, Gunner didn't have a season last year. He didn't get to play football. He didn't get to play basketball. Then we go on COVID, so he misses out on the baseball and track and those types of things in the spring. You know, so I was just happy we got a season in, just so Gunner could at least get a season in this year. But I think he did a really, really nice job for us. We're going to miss these 3 seniors. But like I said earlier, I think we have the nucleus of kids coming back that we could be darn good next year. It's not up to me, it's going to be up to them. They're going to have to work hard. And, you know, last summer, we didn't have a league that we could go to. We couldn't open up the gym. We couldn't do any of our normal summer type stuff. Which if we couldn't do it, that meant the other schools couldn't do it either. So it was an even playing field both ways. This year, it's probably going to be open back up if I had to guess. So if we're not doing it, I guarantee you the other schools are going to be doing it. We have to put the work in this summer. And it's not so much as gaining an advantage, it's just keeping up with the Joneses. And we got to make sure that we do that this year. I don't know what else I need to talk about. I probably talked too long. We going to dismiss?
Thanks, Craig. There's a lot of thank yous, and I do want to thank all the students. I know it's a big sacrifice for you to participate in these activities. You go to school all day long, and then you go to practice for another 3 hours, and then you got homework, and somewhere you eat there, and somewhere you sleep there too. So you guys work hard, and that's what makes all this possible. I appreciate all you students who participate. Coaches make so many sacrifices. They spend more time with you than they spend with their own families. But during those seasons, I really appreciate all the coaches and everything you do. Thank you all. Have a great evening. You're dismissed.